Hello and welcome to the Daily News Simplified. Today is 2nd of June 2024, and just like past few instances, I am here to introduce another valuable member of our team, Mr. Shahbaz Khan. Mr. Shahbaz Khan has worked behind the scenes since more than last 1 year. He is a graduate from NIT, and after that he worked in corporate, and then he found his calling in civil services, and that's when he started preparing. He reached twice for the interview stage, but I guess he missed the final PDF by 3 or 4 marks.
5 marks.
Oh, he missed the final interview of 2022. He missed the final PDF by 5 marks. And so he is extremely talented. He has contributed because he specializes in geography and environment. He has worked in that team for 1 year. So a lot of the most beautiful articles that you have seen in past 1 year, both in terms of mains analysis as well as in terms of prelims analysis, have been made by Shahbaz Khan, Shahbaz Sir. It is important for some of the older members of the team to come and introduce the newer players, because we want to request and seek your support to new teachers, because a lot of the times you guys have a tendency to call out in support of older teachers, but you should realize that even the old well-known faculties were new at some point of time and they needed their support back then. So you should know that a person appearing on the platform of Raus Study Circle, the most premium old institute in civil services training, cannot allow anyone to go live on their platform without making sure the quality and the content. So all the best, Shahbaz, for your first DNS, and all the best to you as well for the coming prelims as well as the preparation.
So let's start our discussion. Hello everyone, welcome to Daily News Simplified. From today's edition of newspaper, we have come up with 6 topics. From the perspective of mains examination, we have taken 3 topics, that is floods in Northeast India. We are going to talk about what are the factors leading to floods in Northeastern region. And at the same time, we are going to talk about what are the mitigation measures we can take in order to reduce the floods in Northeastern regions. Secondly, we are going to talk about recently, you know that yesterday only various pollster has showing that National Democratic Alliance will going to form the government. So in this respect, we are going to talk about exit polls, and you are also going to read about opinion polls. So in this article, we are going to talk about exit polls, opinion polls, and how it is regulated in India. And thirdly, we're going to talk about one of the important part of our syllabus general studies paper number 2 related to constitutional comparison of Indian constitution with the rest of the world. So in this article, in the third article, we're going to talk about various features of Indian polity with respect to South African country. And from the perspective of preliminary examination, we're going to talk about one of the important thing which UPSC asked in the past as well, related to the people who are living in Harappan civilization and the people who are living in Rigvedic times. What is the similarity between them? And we're going to see in this article. And secondly, we're going to talk about grades of coal in India. As you know, India is still importing certain type of coal because of certain quality. So in this thing, we are going to talk about what type of coals we actually produce and what type of coals we import. And finally, we are going to talk about mangroves in India. So let's start our discussion from the first topic, that is floods in Northeastern India. So this article came in Hindu newspaper on page number 9, and the article reads like this: Assam floods, death count rises to 15. Close monitoring needed, warns Center Water Commission. So as you are seeing that there is a loss of life and livelihood due to floods. It is one of the impact of the flood. And you can ask me one question, that why we have taken this topic first of all. Because as you know, disaster management is part of our general studies paper number 3. and UPSC in the past has asked a number of questions based on this topic, that is floods. For instance, I have taken one topic that is asked in 2016, and the question is this: the frequency of urban floods. So here the question is talking about urban floods, but in this discussion we are going to talk about floods in northeastern regions, right? Due to high intensity of rainfall is increasing over the years. So they are asking the factors, what are the causes for the urban floods, and they are also asking suggest certain measures in order to mitigate the floods, or especially the urban floods. So let us start the first topic, that is floods in northeastern region and what are the factors. As you know, there are the factors can be divided into natural as well as anthropogenic factors. But before starting it, let me tell you one thing, that anthropogenic factor nowadays are impacting the natural factor as well through increasing the intensity or increasing the frequency of the natural factors. Let us start for first point, that is natural factors, and what are the natural factors which are leading to the floods in northeastern region. First is bowl-shaped topography. Let me make you a map of northeastern region to show you what is the topography of that region. Sorry for the map. So this is the northeastern part. Let me draw certain topographical features like Himalayas in the northern region. This is Himalayas and this is Meghalaya plateau. Right? And as you know, this Brahmaputra river flows through this course and finally drained into Bay of Bengal. So this is the Brahmaputra river. As you are seeing that there is a very constant of land. This land is constrained by Himalayas in the north, Meghalayas in the south. So you can see that the water holding capacity of this region is less. So that is naturally prone to flood. This topographically make it natural prone to flood. And second is its topography is ball shaped. Ball shaped in the sense that suppose this is the Assam plains and these are the highlands. Suppose this is Himalayas and this is Meghalaya plateau, right? Whatever water comes in this plateau or this rivers, generally this mountain generally drain into this region, which in turn lead to the retention of water in this low-lying region, which in turn lead to floods. So this is the factor which is leading to, natural factor which is leading to floods in northeastern region. Second is antecedent rivers. So what are antecedent rivers? First of all, so the antecedent rivers are those rivers which are present before the formation of Himalayas. Suppose during the Oligocene period, the Himalayas are forming and they are uplifting above the surface. But at the same time, the rivers are present. What they do, they erode as the mountain are lifting. They start eroding it and eventually they cut across the mountain and flowing in the southern direction in this case, in the northeastern region. Various rivers like Subhansari, here, Dhansari, there are a number of antecedent rivers who are fast flowing rivers and they carry two things. First of all, they carry high velocity discharge of water. High velocity discharge of water that has a high potential to erode. So when they have a high potential to erode, they can carry sediment along with them. So they are also carrying sediment. What happens with this, that suppose this is a river channel and river is flowing from this channel, right? And what can lead to the flood? There can be two possibilities, that discharge in the water in this channel is exceeding the carrying capacity of this channel, right? Exceeding the carrying capacity of this channel. Or there is a possibility that the carrying capacity of this channel get reduced due to sedimentations, various sedimentations. Due to this sedimentation, what will happen? This overspilling of water take place, and this overspilling of water lead to floods in the adjoining regions. So that's why antecedent river is one of the factors leading to floods in the northeastern region. And thirdly, we're going to talk about earthquake prone region. As I have told you that this this whole region, let me change the color. This whole region is a active collision zone where Eurasian plate is colliding with the Indian plate. So this type of collision lead to frequent earthquake in these regions, right? This frequent earthquake, one can ask me one question that this earthquake, how it earthquake lead to floods? So earthquake do not directly lead to floods, but the consequence of earthquake lead to floods. Let us see. What happened? Earthquake lead to landslides, right? Lead to landslides. And if the landslide is came in line with the, let me clear this. Suppose these are the mountains and rivers are flowing and landslide took place. What will happen? This landslide or land debris will going to block the river channel, right? Which lead to overspilling of water, or at the same time it will act as a reservoir. Water will be stored here, and eventually if this landslide or debris will breached, it will lead to enormous water flowing down the downslope and hurting the lower riparian states. Hurting the lower riparian matlab means those states who are at the lower end of the river channel. So this lead to flooding, right? At the same time, landslide will also enhances the sediment content in the river channel. As I have suggested you, as I have told you that if the sedimentation in the river channel will increase, that will lead to overspilling, that will reduce the carrying capacity of the channel to hold the water. So this is the other factor which is leading to floods in the northeastern region. And other is glacial outburst lake. It happens generally in the high altitude regions of Himalayas, especially in the Sikkim part of our country, where suppose this is a glacial lake, water is there and all is made up of snow. But as you know, climate change is happening and temperature is increasing, which in turn lead to melting of these embankments, right? Which in turn lead to overflow or the flow of water, which are huge in number, or the discharge is huge in number, huge in quantity, which will in turn lead to floods in the, especially in the lower riparian regions, right? And finally, from the natural factor is cyclones. What happens as cyclone is a low pressure system. Whenever they move over the oceans, they attract or they capture moistures, and whenever they land, and it pours the moisture through various processes like cloudburst or cyclonic or thunderstorm rainfall. A number of activities used to follow when cyclone lands on the mainlands, right? So this cyclone Remal, as you have read in the newspaper only recently, cyclone Remal has led to flooding in the southern part of the northeastern regions. Southern part of the northeastern region are generally less prone to flooding, but cyclonic activities are making this region more prone to floods. And as you know that cyclone are mostly hurting the eastern part, especially the Odisha coast, the West Bengal coast. But recurving of cyclones also take place, which in turn lead to floods or rainfalls in the Tripura and Manipur regions, which in turn lead to flooding in that region. Now we are going to talk about anthropogenic factors. What happens? As you know, the population of India is increasing and there is a huge demand for housing and other facilities, right? So what happened? People who are living in the northeastern region generally occupies the river embankments, right? These areas. As I have told you, if the discharge of the river is increased or the sedimentation is increased, that will lead to overflow of water, right? So these people who are living in this region will witness flooding. However, naturally it is not considered as a flood because the river is flowing within its ambit. But due to humans' intervention in the river bed or in the river channel, which in turn make them susceptible to flooding. Secondly, we are going to talk about deforestation. As you know, in the northeastern region is very conducive for various kind of plantation, especially the tea plantation. What happened because of this, that in Arunachal Pradesh there is a huge deforestation by farmers and other members, which lead to the uh, removal of removal of vegetation from the higher latitude or higher altitude. As you know, this vegetation holds the soils. If there is no vegetation, this topsoil will be loosed, right? And whenever there will be runoff, this soil will going to erode or going to flow with the water, which eventually lead to sedimentation in the channels, and the same phenomena will occur that will lead to overspilling of river channels or river waters. And finally, we're going to talk about greenhouse gas emissions. What happens with the emission of greenhouse gas? They have a huge potential to capture the heat, which what in turn lead to increase in the temperature of the region, increase of temperature of the region, right? So the phenomena like this will going to occur, glacial outburst lake, and at the same time what it will going to impact, it will impact the rhythms of climate. It will change various parameters of climate, right? Which is generally dubbed as climate change. And you know that due to climate change there is a variability in monsoonal rainfall. One region is witnessing drought and other region is witnessing floods. It is only because of climate change, and climate change is happening because of rise in greenhouse gas emission, which in turn lead to increased precipitation in the northeastern region. Recently there is a cloud burst in the northeastern region only because of this climate change. Now we will going to see what will be the impact of floods, how it will going to impact the society as well as other so let us see the impacts of flood. So there will be direct impact that lead to loss of life and livelihood, as I have seen in the as we have talked in the context only. It will damage the infrastructure. Whatever come in front of this water, it will be blown away. It will damage roads, bridges, and other critical infrastructure that will hamper transportation, which in turn will hamper the mitigation effort, evacuation efforts done by the government itself. So they are hampering not only the evacuation process, they are also hampering the service delivery to that region. So that is also accentuating or increasing the impact of flood on the, especially on the sections which are not very much affluent, and they are generally considered as a vulnerable sections. Thirdly, lead to agricultural loss, as there is a submergence of land will take place, which will hamper the agricultural land, and which in turn will hamper our food security as well as our nutritional security. And it will also going to threat our wildlife. In 2020 itself, that lead to flood. There is a flood in Assam, which lead to submergence of Kaziranga National Park. Almost 90% of that park was submerged. So you know that there are number of microorganisms or microbiota living in that soil, which will be lost due to this flood. Apart from that, the big flora and fauna will also going to get impacted, because their locomotion will be impacted, their prey base will be impacted. That type of impact will going to threaten the biodiversity, especially of the northeastern region. In this case, it also poses health risk. So you know that the water is stored or retained for some time, it become a source for waterborne diseases like cholera and typhoid. So certain type of diseases will hamper the health of the society as well as the population who are engulfed with this type of problem, that is flooding. And other can be political and administrative consequences. As you know, there will be, if there is a flood in a region, the people of that region will migrate to other part of that region, right? What will happen that if they move to other region, they will demand certain resources for their survival. What will lead to that region? What will lead to that region? That region will have a resource crunch, right? If people are migrated to this region, it will have a resource crunch because it has a limited resources, right? And at the same time, if people start migrating, the delivery of service by the government servants will also going to get impacted. So that is one thing. And what will happen to those people? What will be the perception of those people? If they are finding that their basic needs are not met, they will create a distrust towards the government. So the distance between the government and that affected citizens will be widened, and it is not good for the democracy where people do not believe on the government. So that will lead to a deterioration, a kind of deterioration in the democratic setup in the country. Now we will move to measures in order to reduce or mitigate the floods, right? So what can be the measures we can take? We can take the measures like structural measures, where we can develop infrastructure, we can develop shelter homes or various other facilities, so that the people who has engulfed with the flood can able to sustain, or at the same time we can mitigate or reduce the impact of the flood in that region. Secondly, it can be that we can create an warning system or a zoning system where people do not enter, or people do not reach that place where the floods are occurring or is going to occur. So that can be considered as a non-structural measure. Now let us see one by one what are the structural measures. Dams and reservoir. Suppose this is the river channel, and during the monsoon they are having huge discharge. Discharge will be increased, right? So if this sudden increase in the discharge is there, then there is a high possibility that it will lead to floods in the lower riparian regions. So what can one do? One can create dams here or reservoir, so that the extra water can be stored in this place, and whenever there is a lean period, then this water can be discharged. So that is one way to reduce the floods. Second is levees and flood walls. Levees and flood walls. Suppose this is a channel. What we can do? We can control the flow of this water, right? How we can control? We can do the lining, so that lateral erosion do not take place. This lateral erosion do not take place. If this lateral erosion will not take place, then there will not be shifting of the river, which in turn also helps to regulate the flow of the water. So that is one way. So that is lateral movement or overspilling of river do not take place. That's why we make flood walls or levees. Okay. Channel modification. As I have told you, this is the channel. How we can modify it? We can increase the width of this channel, so that the carrying capacity of this channel will be increased. It will carry more water, and at the same time, if there is a sediment deposition in the bottom of the river channel, we can remove this through desedimentation, right? If we remove this sediment, then also the depth of the channel will increase, which in turn will enhance the carrying capacity of that channel, which in turn will reduce the potential risk of floods, right? And other can be flood diversion. What we can do? Suppose this is a river flowing at a very higher pace or having a very huge discharge. What else we can do? We can create channels like this to divert the water, and we can create a reservoir here, right? We can divert the water from this side, so that this discharge, the main discharge, will get reduced, which will have a less impact on the lower riparian state when it comes to flooding. Now we'll talk about non-structural measures. Land use planning and zoning. As I have told you, that people generally occupy the flood zone areas. They are living in this region. They are bound to face the floods. So we have to create a zonation where such type of habitations are not allowed. Suppose habitations are not allowed here, then the proneness of flood for these people will going to reduce, because there will be no settlement. Secondly, we can apply agriculture or agroforestry, so that even if this water overflowed or overspilled, it cannot encroach the other upper areas, other regions. So that can be one way to reduce the land, to reduce the impact of floods through land use planning and zoning. One can also say that urban planning is also a part of this land planning and zoning, where we can go for sponge city. Sponge city means the city is capable enough to retain or to hold the water through various measures, like if we have a pavement. Suppose this is a pavement on which people generally walk, and it has a porous nature. Porous nature means they can able to percolate the water, right? So what will happen if there is a rainfall and it is porous in nature, that concretes are not, so they do not actually helps in percolation of water. So in this pavement is laid, which has a potential to percolate the water, then there's a huge chances that the surface runoff will be very less, right? So that can be a one way. And at the same time, we can also increase the vegetation in the urban areas, which in turn will reduce the flow of the water. They will act as a barrier. At the same time, they will hold the water for a long time, which in turn enhances the percolation of water. That will boost the groundwater at the same time, and it will reduce the erosion of the topsoil as well, right? Now we will move to second topic, that is early warning system. So we can create an early warning system so that we can tell the people that this region are going to face the flood. So before that, we can evacuate that people or that population from that region, which will help them from the which protect them from the brunt of the flooding. And finally, the ecosystem based approach. What is ecosystem based approach? Any approach which will be in conformity with the environment or ecosystem is called ecosystem based approach. For instance, we can create afforestation. For instance, there is a deforestation on Arunachal Pradesh. For that, we can enhance the afforestation in that region, which will hold the soil, which will reduce the erosion, and which in turn will reduce the sedimentation of the channels. That can be one way, right? So these are certain measures we can take in order to reduce the floods in the northeastern region, and these rules can apply to other part of the country as well, right? Let's move to the next topic, that is exit polls and opinion polls. We have taken it from the Hindu newspaper, page number 1, and the article read like this: NDA will form government for third time, say exit poll. So one can wonder what is exit poll and what is opinion poll. Now we are going to see in this thing. It is part of our general studies paper number 2, Indian polity. Elections is a part of our syllabus, so it is a part of election as well. So we have taken this topic. Now let us start our first topic. Let us start our topic from exit polls. What are exit polls? First of all, we will start our opinion poll. What are opinion polls? They are survey, a sample of people. As you know, if you are followed the Lok Sabha election, you have watched the TV channel, you have seen that a number of reporters going into the field, and they are asking to the people regarding their voting behavior or what they are considering while voting. So that type of opinion is considered as an opinion poll, right? It's a simple survey from a population to predict the outcome of an election or gauge the public sentiment. Gauge the public sentiment means to understand where public is going. Public is supporting which parties, right? So that is thing on various issues. These polls are conducted well before the election day. That is the key point. They are not conducted on the election day. They are conducted before the election day. So there is maybe chances that people might have changed their mind during on the day of election, right? So we are going to see in the challenges this thing. and aim to reflect the current political climate. So overall opinion poll is a survey, a kind of survey where a group of people or a very small population of people are interviewed, on the basis of which the pollsters are deciding the mood of the country, right? Now we'll see what are the methods used in the opinion polls. It can be telephonic survey. Suppose somebody is calling you and saying that to whom you are supporting, whether you are supporting X party or whether you are supporting the Y party. So that can be one mode, right? Other can be online mode. If you are using social media platform like Twitter or Instagram, there are a number of pages who are asking that to whom you are going to support, whether you are supporting X party or whether you are supporting the Y party. That can be one form of data collection, and that is online survey. And one can be modified form of it, means they are using both the telephonic survey as well as the online surveys, and along with that they are also doing the field survey. So the accumulation of all this survey can be considered as a modified mode survey, right? And weighing, suppose weighing means that you are giving certain weightage to certain things. For instance, if you are surveying in Uttar Pradesh, as you know, the Lok Sabha seat in Uttar Pradesh is 80. So you will going to give more weightage to this region, right? As compared to the other regions, like in case of Maharashtra, there is 48 seat. So the opinion of these people will be weighted more as compared to this. So there may be other method of weighing as well. So that there lies the challenge of all opinion polls. So there is no as such transparency regarding the weighing method, regarding the surveying method, or what type of sample they have taken in order to decipher the mood of the country, or in order to understand the current political climate. So that is one thing. As I have told you, only few people are surveyed. So you can say that there is a chances of sampling error, that even you are taking two or three samples and you are generalizing for the whole population. That can be a gross manipulation of the facts, right? Secondly, we're going to talk about different survey mode yield different results. If you are doing survey through a telephone, they will going to give a different result. If you are doing online survey, it will going to give different result. And which result you have to opt is a challenge, or it's still a confidential thing for the pollsters, right? And thirdly, there might be chances that certain political parties are trying to influence the voters, right? So they may do the poll, they may give the picture which will be favorable to them, and it will be biased against certain other parties. So that is also a possibility, right? Now we will move to other thing, that is exit poll. Exit poll, you have to think that opinion polls are conducted way before the election day, but exit poll are conducted on the day of the election, when the people went to polling station and they came out of this polling station. There are a number of reporters or surveyors are standing in the front of the polling station, and they ask the people to whom they have supported, or what are their concerns, or what are their concerns on the basis of which they have voted, right? Same thing is exit poll. Let's read the definition. Exit polls are conducted immediately after the voters leaving the polling station on the election day. As I have told you, the aim is to predict the election outcome and understand voter demographics and motivations. So they are trying to gauge which party is going to win. For instance, in this case, various pollsters is saying that National Democratic Alliance will going to form the government for the third time. So that can be one thing, right? What are the methods? Methods can be same. It can be through sampling, interview techniques, or various other online modes. So the techniques of data collection is almost same in the opinion polls and exit polls. What is the challenge? So whenever, actually, you know that Indian people do not generally want to speak things loudly. And when it comes to election, they do not speak about the parties, right? to whom they have favored, or to whom they are engaged with, right? In this thing, what happens, they are mostly concerned regarding their privacy, so they may give wrong answers, they may not give the answers. So that is a challenge for the data collection for exit polls. Coordination with many interviewers is complex. Suppose I am taking one example. Suppose this is a constituency X, right? And there are 100 polling stations in this, right? And suppose two people are there to interview this polling station, and same goes on other polling station as well. So in this one constituency only, you have around 200 people to coordinate with. And suppose in the last phase of election, in the 7th phase, 57 seats are there, right? Suppose if one station has 200 people and 57 state will have very huge number of people, right? Those who is taking interview, right? So this lead to very huge complexity in coordination with such a large number of interviewers, right? That is one challenge. Lack of transparency, as I have told you, there might be some push polls, there might be some sampling error, there might be some discrepancies in weighing methods. So these are certain challenges associated with exit poll. Now we are going to see how regulation of exit poll and opinion poll evolved in India. In 1997, Election Commission went to the political parties and they stated that exit poll and opinion poll should be banned. And certain opposition party also supported it, and they are saying that certain parties are manipulating the exit poll and opinion poll in their favor, right? In 2024, they again went to Election Commission of India, again went to Law Ministry and along with various political parties, and they asked for banning the exit poll. Eventually, in 2010, it get enacted through the insertion of one section in Representation of People Act, that is 126A, right? So this lead to the banning of exit poll in India, but not the opinion poll. We are going to see why we have not banned the opinion poll, and they have banned the exit poll for certain period of time. They have not banned the exit poll as such. They have banned the exit poll for certain period of time. What is the time period? The time period is commencement of the polls, means the starting of the first phase, and ending of the first phase after half an hour of the ending of the last phase, right? The commencement of the first polls until half an hour after the closing of the final phase, means the last phase. Then the pollster can declare their exit poll or exit opinion regarding the outcome of the elections, right? There is no ban on opinion polls. Why there is no ban on opinion poll? Because it is challenged in the Supreme Court, and certain argument was given like this, that it will going to hamper the freedom of expression and speech. People has the right to speak, so they can speak whoever he want to, right? So on the basis of that, they have not banned the opinion poll. However, they have banned the exit poll for a certain period of time, that is the commencement of the first phase and half an hour after the last phase. Till then, you cannot declare the exit poll. After that, you can declare a exit poll. Now we will move to our next topic, that is comparison of constitution. And we have taken this article from the Hindu newspaper, page number 14, and the article reads like this: African National Congress searching for coalition partners in South Africa after losing majority. So they are also forming a coalition government. In this respect, we have taken this article because in the UPSC itself, in the UPSC syllabus itself, it is written that comparison of Indian constitutional scheme with that of other countries. It is a part of general studies paper number 2. So it become very important for us to study this comparison. And at the same time, UPSC in the past has asked a number of questions related to it. As you know, there are various democracies, famous democracies present in the world. For instance, United Nations, they are known to be first democratic nations. And there is a France. It is one of the oldest democracy in the world. When it comes to South Africa, it becomes a very dicey things because the most of the population are living in are of tribal people, and they believe in a more of a communal. They mostly believe in the community as such. They do not adhere with most of the things. They do not adhere with the constitutional principles. However, constitution is present in many of the countries in the south in the African continent, and one of them is South Africa, and they are one of the oldest, and they have developed their constitution due to their historical events. For instance, there are a lot of racial discrimination was there present in the South Africa. As you know, Gandhiji went there, and they also highlighted the racial discrimination with respect to the Negro people, with respect to the Indian people. The white people are depreciating the racial group on the basis of color. So that become a very kind of what you say, it's a kind of similarity, historical similarity between South Africa as well as India. As you know, when the colonization in India took place, they treat Indian as a second class citizens. Same happened in the South Africa as well. So we're going to find a lot of similarity when it comes to rights, bill of rights, and judicial review power when we are going to compare the South African state as well as Indian state. Now let us see the comparison. So these are the few heads. UPSC has in the past has asked number of questions, as I have told you. Let me show you the question first of all. Analyze the distinguishing feature of the notion of right to equality in the Constitution of USA and India. It was asked in 2021. In 2019, they have asked what can France learn from the Indian Constitution approach to secularism, right? So these are things UPSC in the past has asked with respect to certain things. But when they are talking about general comparison, you can take proper parameters on the basis of which you can able to analyze, or you can able to differentiate between two constitution or two political system as such. First of all, let us start with the government. What type of government present in India? What type of government is present in South African constitution, right? They are bicameral in nature, means there are two houses, Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha in India, and National Assembly and National Council of Provinces in South Africa. When it comes to executive, as you know that president is called as a ceremonial head or the head of the state, not head of the government. And prime minister is called as a head of the government. But in South Africa, presidency is both head of the government as well as head of the state. So this is one difference, right? Legislative process is almost same, that bills are introduced in the lower houses or upper houses. They are discussed and debated, and they are put forward for signing or assent of the president. So similar process took place in the South African constitution as well. Federation. When we are talking about federation, so we have to understand one thing, that Indian Federation talks about three lists. They have demarcated certain areas in which one entity can legislate. For instance, center list, in which center can legislate. State list, in which state can legislate. Concurrent list, in which center and state both can legislate. If there is a legislation in when we are talking about concurrent list, if there is a national if there is a legislation by the center, it will sit on a higher pedestal as compared to the state legislation on the same topic, right? So this is one kind of division in India. Whereas in South Africa, there is a three-tier system, and national, provincial, and local governments share power with each other. However, in India also there is a three-tier system, that is center, state, and Panchayati Raj institution. But when you going to see the powers and functions of the Panchayati Raj institution, you will find that lot of functions are taken from the state laws, state list only, right? Secondly, we're going to talk about the autonomy of the state. As I have told you, state has whole power to legislate in the state list, but it is not the case in the South African constitution. They talk about provincial autonomy, but with have a strong central oversight, means they have a centralizing tendency. When we talking about India, we are mostly talking about giving more powers to the states as well as panchayati raj institution. When as I have discussed you, rights will be almost same when we compare Indian constitution and South African constitution because of the historical factors of racism, right? That include equality, freedom, right, and exploitation, cultural and educational right. They also include comprehensive civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights. And one other thing is that is differ from Indian constitution and African constitution is related to directive principle of state policy. As you know, directive principle of state policy in India is not enforceable. That means that Supreme Court cannot enforce the directive principle of state policy, whereas fundamental rights are enforceable in our country. At the same time, however, government of India has taken number of measures in order to implement the directive principle of state policy that are generally termed as socio-economic rights, and the fundamental rights are known as political rights. So they have legislated a lot of legislation to enact the socio-economic rights, but it is not enforceable, right? However, in South Africa, it is justifiability and it is enforceable as well by the judiciary. When we are talking about judicial aspect, that as we know that Supreme Court is our constitutional court as well as highest court. Same applies in the South African constitution as well. However, it will be differing when we're going to talk about the appointment of the Supreme Court judges. In India, through various judges, various cases like first judge case, or second judge case, we have developed one system that is known as collegium system, where judges are appointing judges. But in case of South Africa, they have judicial appointment or judicial service commission. They are appointing through a well-established executive way. And India also come up with a National Judicial Appointment Committee, but it was declared null and void by the Supreme Court, right? Judicial power is almost equal in both the country, Indian constitution as well as in the South African constitution. As I told you, this judicial review is very important to enhance the fundamental right and directive principle, that is socio-economic rights of the people. So that's why judicial review along with fundamental rights have a huge similarity with the South African constitution. This all from this topic. Let's move to our next topic. This topic we are going to discuss from the perspective of preliminary examination, and this article is a very good article. If you will get time, you will read this article. And this article reads like this: Archaeologists, Sanskrit scholar tie up to decipher Rigvedic text. Let me tell you certain context regarding that. So this article is trying to establish a relationship between Indus civilization, the people of Indus civilization, and the people of Rigvedic times, right? So there is a time lag between that, and they are saying that this Indus Valley civilization people are same or having commonality with the Rigvedic Aryans, or they are saying that this Indus Valley civilization people are indigenous our nature, and there is various theories related to Rigvedic Aryans. It is said that they have migrated from the Central Asian region, and Tilak itself has said that the Aryans, the Rigvedic Aryans, are migrated from or invaded from the Central Asian region. So this article is trying to counter that thesis, and they have established a thesis that there is a relationship between the Rigvedic people and there is a relationship between Indus Valley people. Now we are going to see various debate arising because of this thesis, right? One of the important thing before starting it is this, that there is a DNA evidence from a 4600-year-old remains of women indicating that Harappans were indigenous people. And it is written in NCERT. They are saying that there is a high probability that Indus Valley civilization are indigenous people. They have tested the genomes of that old lady, that old remains of a woman, and they are showing that high similarity of that DNA makeup with that of contemporary Indians, right? So this is the thesis, and NCERT has itself has given the disclaimer that research is required. It is not actually accepted right now. This it is a thesis that this in Indus Valley people are indigenous in nature. Why we are saying this thing that there is a relationship between Indus people as well as Rigvedic Aryan due to various factors. Let us see. Indus Valley people, actually Indus Valley civilization is around 4500 ago, means it is around 2500 BC, right? The time period is around this. It will be around 4500 year ago. However, the Rigveda, as per the many historians, suggest that this Rigveda period is around 3500 year ago to 1500 year ago. Sorry, to 2500 year ago, right? So there is the around 1000 year of gap between the Rigvedic people and the Indus Valley civilization. What they are saying that this Vasant Sindhe, who is one of the important archaeologists in India, he's saying that this Rigvedic period, time period, is not this 2000 BC that and 1500 BC, which will be translated into 3500 a year ago or 2500 year ago, right? Because 2000 years we have invested in after the Christ as well, right? So there various sources are saying that this the time period of Vedas are around 2000 BC to 1500 BC. But Vasant Sinde is saying that no, it is not like this. The Vedic period is around 2500 BC, which is very much similar, which is very much close to this old remain which is found in the Indus Valley sites. So that's why they are saying that there is a continuity from the Indus Valley civilization to Rigvedic Aryans. They are the same people. They are living in a same time. They are coexisting at the same time. And second thing is related to evidence from Rakhi Gadi site. As you know, Rakhi Gadi site is a very important site for the Indus Valley civilization in India, and they have find fire altars. There is a certain evidence of fire altars, and what Vasant Sinde is saying that they're trying to correlate these fire altars or worship of fire with that of Rigvedic text, where fire worship is written. That's why they are saying that we have to study the Rigveda text in a more academic manner or in a more thorough manner, so that we can able to decipher a connection between this evidence of Indus Valley civilization with that of Rigvedic period, right? And third argument for this is Saraswati river connection. They are saying that the Rigvedic text talk about Saraswati 71 times. That's why they are showing the importance of the Saraswati river. And due to excavation of the Indus Valley civilization, it was found that 2/3 of the Indus Valley civilization are habited or are situated along the Saraswati river. So there might be some connection between the Rigvedic text as well as the Indus people, right? As well as the Harappan people. So that is one debate arised from the thesis of Vasant Sinde. They are saying that Rigvedic Aryans, Rigvedic has talked about Saraswati rivers many times. So there might be some correlation why there is an Indus Valley civilization. 2/3 of the Indus Valley civilization are habited along the Saraswati river. And next thing is related to animal bone debate. Many archaeologists has found animal bones in Sorkotoda region of Kutch of Gujarat, and some historians are saying that, or some archaeologists are saying that they are bones of domesticated horse, right? And however, Harvard University is saying that these bones are of wildness. If we confirm that these these bones are of horses, then we can also say that this Rigvedic Indus Valley people are knowing the horses, and they have a cultural similarity with the Rigvedic Aryans, because during Rigvedic Aryans horses are used for chariot purpose or for various other purposes. But when it comes to Indus Valley civilization, there is no as such clear evidences of horses. If these bones are if this bone suggests that there is a presence of horses, then we can say that there is a high chance that there is a correlation between the Indus Valley people as well as the Rigvedic Aryans. Finally, the indigenous origin of Harappans, as per the DNA evidences, scientist has suggested that the DNA of Indus Valley population is very much similar to the ancestral South Indian as well as ancestral North Indian that are dubbed as ANI, ASI. Right? So on the basis of that, they are saying that Harappan people might be indigenous in indigenous population. Now we are going to solve one MCQ based on this discussion. And UPSC in the past has asked this question related to Rigvedic Aryans as compared to Indus Valley civilization. That's why we have taken this topic. With reference to Indus Valley civilization, Rigvedic Aryans considered the following statements. Rigvedic Aryans involved in fire worship, whereas there is no evidence of fire altars in Indus Valley civilization. As we know that Rakhi Gadi has evidence of fire altars, so this statement is incorrect. It is well established fact that Rigvedic Aryans and Indus people are same. It is not well established. NCERT itself has given the disclaimer that research is required. We cannot claim that Indus Valley people and Rigvedic Aryans are same. So in this case, both the statement is incorrect. We will opt for option D, that is neither one nor two. Now we will move to our next topic, that is grades of coal in India. We have taken it from this article of the Hindu newspaper. What grade of coal does India produce? So we are going to see certain things. Why this came in news? First of all, because a recent report by the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project furnished that which alleged that in 2014 the Adani Group claimed low-grade coal imported from Indonesia to be high-quality coal, inflated its value, and sold it to Tamil Nadu's power generation. So it can be a case of corruption, right? So proper investigation can be done. Before that, we cannot say anything. So what is low-grade coal or what is high-quality or high-grade coal? Let us see. So grade of the coal depend upon various factor. First of all, it depend upon the gross calorific value. Gross calorific value means how much, suppose 1 kg of coal you are burning and how much of energy you are taking out of it. For instance, if you are burning 1 kg of coal and you are generating 5000 kilocalorie per kg, then it can be considered as a mid quality or a little good quality of good quality of coal. Second parameter is ash content, right? If the ash content of the coal is more, then the quality is low. Third can be moisture. If the moisture content of the coal is high, then it is considered as a low grade coal. And finally, it depends upon the carbon content. If the carbon content of the coal is high, then it is considered as a high grade coal. So you can see there are a number of coal like anthracite, bituminous, subbituminous, lignite, and even peat. And lignite and subbituminous along with peat are considered as the low quality coal, whereas anthracite is a very high quality coal, bituminous coal is a medium quality coal. Now we are going to see what are the percentage of carbon in various form of coals. In peat, they have very less amount of carbon and they are generally found in swampy and marshy areas. Lignite coal, they also have a low coal and they are brown in color. They have high ash content. Their carbon content is around 40 to 55%. and their moisture content is very high. So it is a low grade quality coal. And bituminous coal. Bituminous coal is relatively good as compared to lignite coal, but it is not as good as anthracite coal. They have a carbon content around 60 to 80%. And one more thing, bituminous coal is the coal most of the coal of India is bituminous coal. Let me the map to show the distribution of coals, especially the bituminous coals. Sorry for the map. This region, this Gondwana land is important source of coal for India, and that is bituminous coal, and that include states like Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, West Bengal, even Odisha as well. So what led to the formation of this Gondwana coal? What happens that this coal is generally, earlier it was a forest, very in the long period of time, you can say very old. Earlier there was a forest. Due to various tectonic activity, it gets submerged, and due to, if it is submerged and there are other things which come over it, due to high pressure, as you know, the interior of the earth is more having high temperature, and high pressure and high temperature, this wood, this forest which gets submerged due to various tectonic activities, converted into coal and leaving our bituminous coal. If the age of this submergence is more, then the quality of the coal is more, and if the age is less, then it can be considered as a low quality coal. For instance, carbonaceous coal of United Kingdom is a very old coal. Means the formation is traced back to a carbonaceous time period, and they have a very high content of carbon, and they are considered as a good coal or a high grade coal. Anthracite coal, it contains around 80 to 95% of the carbons, and it is found in very small areas of the country in J&K and some areas of Tamil Nadu, right? So these are the distribution as well, along with the quality of coal. Now we will move to other aspect of this. As you know, India have a huge resource of coal, especially the bituminous coal, but still we import huge amount of coal for certain activities, especially for the iron and steel industries. Why we are importing it? Because we have a little low quality of coal as compared to imported coal. What is the quality? Can we check it from the various parameters, like gross calorific value of Indian coal is around 3500 to 400 kilocalorie per kg. When it comes to imported coal, it is around 6000, right? Almost double or almost 1.5 times that of Indian coal. S content of Indian coal is 40%, whereas S content of imported coal is 10%. Sorry, this is a mistake. It is 10%. More polluting after burning, because Indian coal have a high number of impurities, including nitrogen, oxygen, and various moistures. So these are certain impurities found in the Indian coal, which is not present in the imported coal. That's why we have to import the coal. Now let us solve one MCQ. UPSC in the 2013 itself asked regarding the characteristic of Indian coal. High S content, right? Soil carbon, right? Low S fusion rate temperature. Is this wrong? Statement 1 is correct. Go and solve this question. Now we are going to solve the practice question. With reference to Indian coal and imported coal, consider the following statement. Indian coal has a high gross calorific value as compared to imported coal. As you know, it is wrong. Indian coal has around 3500 to 4000 kilocalorie, whereas when we are talking about imported coal, it is around 6000 kilocalorie per kg. Secondly, burning of Indian coal produces low particulate matter as compared to imported coal. As I have told you, there are huge impurities. S content in the Indian coal is more, so they will going to generate more particulate matter. So that's why this statement is incorrect. Thirdly, Carbon content of anthracite coal is more as compared to bituminous coal, as we have seen that anthracite coal contains around 80 to 90% of the carbon, whereas when we are talking about bituminous coal, it is around 60 to 80%. So in this, only one statement is correct, that is 3. So we'll opt option A, that is only one statement is correct. Now we will move to our last topic, that is mangrove vegetation. As you know, mangrove is very important, what you say, coastal forest, right? That is called as tidal forest as well, and they have a huge adaptation to certain type of climatic and what you say, soil conditions. So first of all, as you know, oceans are alkaline in nature, they have a high salt content. So these mangrove vegetations are salt tolerant, they able to bear the amount of salt, right? They are halophytes. Halophytes means they can survive in the salty or alkaline water. Yes, they are also localized in tropical region of the world, especially in the coastal regions. They are in the coastal regions because they are adopted in a certain kind of water that will be alkaline in nature. That's why they are found in the coastal region of the country and along the tropical zone, because their temperature, they require temperature zone around 26 to 35 degrees Celsius, which is feasible in tropical areas only. And at the same time, they need huge rainfall. So you can say that there might be, they can be found in the tropical region, but they will be more equatorial in nature when it compared to other kind of forest. So they will be more equatorial in nature because they require 100 to 300 centimeter of rainfall. That is a huge amount of rainfall, right? So that's why these are certain conditions for mangroves to survive. So they can be found in various regions along the Ganga, Mahanadi, Krishna and Kaveri river. We will going to see certain other things like its features. As you know that Sundarban is one of the important mangrove region of our country, and one of the important tree species in that region is Sundari tree, right? So you have to remember this thing. If somebody will ask you that where Sundari tree is found, so you can say it is found in the coastal areas of our country, especially in the eastern coast of our country. When you are talking about flora, it can have a coconut, another thing, and at the same time, when we are going to discuss, we will talk about other aspect as well related to mangroves, right? Royal Bengal tiger is found in this region because there are a number of species like deer and other kind of herbivores are present, which are prey for this Royal Bengal tiger. They are creating a food chain in that region. That's why Royal Bengal tiger is surviving with favorable conditions. So what is the benefit of it? It can act as a buffer. Suppose this is India, and these are cyclones developing over it, right? And there is a mangrove forest. What happens when this cyclone moves to this region, it will mangrove will going to create a barrier for them, right? So the sea inundation or high tide will not going to intrude into the much of the area of the mainland. So they are acting as a barrier between the high tides and cyclonic intrusion, right? And helping the mainland from various type of erosions and catastrophe. Okay, good source of timber, fuel and fodder, good income shoreline communities. Purify the water by yes, they have one more quality, that they absorb pollutants out of water. So they act as filtration tool as well. So they generally help us to clean the water as well as air because they produce oxygen. That's why they clear air as well. And it is a potential source for tourism and recreation. As you know, when you go to Andaman and Nicobar, there are a number of islands like Neil Island, where you will find a very diverse form of mangroves in that region. And people used to go for sightseeing in that region. These are certain benefits of mangroves. Now we will going to talk about its adaptation. So they have stilt root. This is stilt root help in two ways. First of all, it help the uh, it helps the water to flow through it, which in turn will not uplift him or uh, remove it from the coastal areas. Second is nematophores. They are these roots are used for taking oxygen, because as you know this land will be submerged with water, right, and that too of salty nature. So to get proper minerals, these nematophores get developed, and this is a adaptation to mangroves only. And roots are there where their salinity is less, so they will develop in this way. Now we will move to distribution of mangroves in the world. As you know this, the largest mangroves are found in Asia, this region. As you know, this is the tropical region, right? An equator is passing from this region. This is the tropical region, and you will find that all the mangroves are located along the tropical region only, right? And mangroves are, when we are talking about continent, Asia has the largest largest cover of mangroves, followed by Africa and North and Central America. When we are talking about country wise, then about 40% of the global mangrove cover is lie in only three countries, that is Indonesia is in this region, Brazil, right, Nigeria, this region, and Mexico, this region, right? So 40% of the mangroves are concentrated in almost four countries, that is Indonesia, Brazil, Nigeria, and Mexico. Let's talk about distribution of mangroves in India. Sundarban is the largest mangrove in India. You can find that Bhitarkanika and Mahanadi Delta also have mangroves. So these are the distribution of the mangroves. So you can find even in the Gulf of Kutch there is a mangrove. When it comes to mangrove cover state-wise, West Bengal tops the list, followed by Gujarat. As you know, this region, Gulf of Kutch and Gulf of Kambat, has mangrove covers, followed by Andaman and Nicobar. This is the region, right? And Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra. So these are the few distribution of Indian mangroves. As you see that it is along the coastal areas because they need saline water. And at the same time, India, you know that the topic of cancer passes from this region, a little lower from this, and there is a equator below this, right? So in this region, that is tropical in nature, where we are finding mangroves cover, right? Now we will solve our MCQ. Now, so UPSC in the past has asked, they do not ask mangrove cover as a direct question, but they have created one options, mangrove cover, tropical rainforest. They have used this option, and UPSC is one way or the other, they ask the option as a different question in next year or the other years. So you have, while you are preparing the examination, while you are solving the PYQs or MCQs, kindly go through the options as well. Create a list of it, and at least study about the options, because UPSC in the past has asked these questions when even if it is in options, right? Now we are going to solve this question. Consider the following statement regarding mangroves. So they are talking about the potential benefits of mangroves. As we have seen that it will protect the land from erosion, it will help to counter the cyclonic intrusion, the high waves into the mainland. That's why they are helping us from erosion. Potential source of recreation and tourism, as I have given the example of Neil Island, people used to go to watch that mangroves. Act as a natural shield to against cyclones, as I have told you. All the three statements are correct. So option C is the correct option. So that is all from our side. Kindly suggest if you need any kind of changes. Have a good day. We will meet you next time.